Hello, 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 amigos. Welcome one, welcome all. It's time for another exciting edition of, you guessed it, the show with no name, and it's time for
T minus 10,
liftoff. Let's
9, 8,
go.
7,
6,
5,
5, 4. Countdown with
3,
me.
2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Let's get moving.
Liftoff. 30 minutes after the hour.
Is it 30 minutes after the hour? Yeah. On the dot. Sharp. En punto.
Get ready. Hold on to your hats. Strap on your seatbelt. Fasten your seatbelts. Hold on to your
And
hats.
get ready for the ride of your life.
The show It's show with no name time.
On Vaughn Radio.
It's a show with no name.
Let's go. Welcome, show with no namers. Time for another, you guessed it, another English extravaganza. We're going to learn, we're going to laugh, we're going to play, as we always do here on the show with no name. And don't forget to listen to my buddy Fitz's show right before this show. It's called No Excuses, and you've got no excuses. You can learn with the cream of the crop. Fitz, he teaches the teachers. He hand selects the teachers. And not everybody makes the cut. To make the cut, dar la talla. No, los cortan. They don't make the cut. No llegan a la próxima ronda. Well, I can tell you that from my own training class. There were, I think, maybe 12 of us when we started. And at the end of the week, because we did our training in a week, normally it's 2 weeks, but they got a big client and they had to push us through quickly. And at the end, I think there were 8 of us. And it was about attitude. I remember one girl, it was the second day. And the first day, Fitz talked about being punctual, being on time. And this girl came in 5 minutes late on day 2. 5 minutes. And she didn't even say I'm sorry. It was an attitude problem, too. She just came in, crossed her arms, and sat there like, and you know what Fitz did? Fitz said, "Excuse me a second, guys. Samantha, can you come with me?" And then he came back in the room minutes later, and he said, "She won't be with us anymore." And, of course, he was making an example of her apathy. I mean, just the day before, he talked about being professional and, you know, having the right attitude. And this girl comes in 5 minutes late, the second day of training, and she doesn't even say sorry. She just comes in like, well, huffing and puffing. And Fitz said, stop a second, guys. I'll be right back. Okay. Talk amongst yourselves. And he came back and she didn't. And I think also that sent a message to all of us. I wasn't kidding when I said you need to be professional. And Fitz still holds our teachers to that same standard. And I think that is what differentiates a Vaughn teacher from all the rest, from the heap, el montón, right? That's another way of saying the pile, the heap. All right, my amigos. Oh, and you know it from a song, Top of the Heap. Yeah, that's right. From New York, New York. I'm top of the heap, not heap. I'm top of the heap. A number one. Different ways to say lo mejor. And if you want the best, you know we've got the best over at Vaughn. Just go to our website, grupovaughn.com. Also, you can follow us on social media or stop by one of our offices if you're in Madrid, Barcelona, Bilbao, Vigo, Valladolid, Valencia, Santander, Zaragoza, Las Tablas, or Pozuelo. And you can bet we've got many centers coming in the future as well as we continue to grow. But remember this, if you don't grow, we don't grow, right? If you're not learning English, if our students are not satisfied with what they're getting, they won't come back. They'll tell their friends, word of mouth, as we say, de boca a boca, I think you say, word of mouth. And that is a very powerful thing. But thankfully, we continue to grow because you continue to grow. All right, my amigos, let's kick things off with a listening exercise we call the Say What Soundbite. Get up!
Say what? What?
Also, my amigos, this is a perfect time to remind you of this week's question of the week. That's right. Question of the week this week. What are the pros and cons of AI? I know you say EI, we say AI. What are the pros and cons of AI? And don't use AI to help you. I want you to use your noggin, el coco. Well, I guess you could. You could go to ChatGPT and say, be honest with me. What are the pros and cons of using AI or of the implications of AI? I mean, we've all seen Terminator 2, right? When the machines take over. Another thing people talk about often is, well, being replaced at jobs. The same thing that happened when they started using robots, right? These mechanical robots at car factories and fábricas de coche. All of a sudden, a lot of jobs were lost. Yeah, they gained a lot of productivity. So, in your opinion, what are the implications? Any new technology has implications, both good and bad. Like I said, every situation has pros and cons. There is no perfect job. There is no perfect relationship. Why? Because life is imperfect. And that's cool. That's great. It's cool. And what is perfect anyway? People say, oh, Brad Pitt, man, he's perfect. I'm sure Brad Pitt has his share of problems too. Well, he's gotten divorced. That's a big thing. Nobody wants to go through that. So, you know, everybody's got their battles, their hardships. That's another way of saying problems. Hardships, things that are difficult, things that are hard. So what's your opinion on AI? If you'd like to participate, you can send me a 1-minute voice note. You can send that voice note to aalonso@grupovon.com. Again, it's aalonso@grupovon.com. And you know what? A nice round of applause to everybody who participated last week. Alfonso, Anix, Chris Valrol, Elena, and Nuria. Excellent job. Keep up the great work. If you've never participated, what are you waiting for? And if you have participated, well, I can tell. We can tell. Lo notamos. So keep up the wonderful work. I'm giving you an opportunity to express yourself in English aloud every week. And I can help you. I can help you with your pronunciation. I can help you with everything, right? And as you know, I usually listen to the audio clips. I pause and I say, muy bien aquí, cuidado con esto. And this way, every time we are making progress, we are tweaking, haciendo ajustes, so we get your English and most of all, your confidence. Don't be embarrassed. Don't feel, shame of any kind. Why? Because you're all learning. So everybody's going to make mistakes. Everybody's going to express things in an unnatural way. But that's why I'm here. I'm here to give you a hand in both senses of the word, to echarte un cable, echarte una mano, and to cheer you on, to give you a hand in that aspect as well. All right, as always, this is a listening exercise. It's also an exercise in learning to sum things up. which I know a lot of people who don't know how to do this very well in their own language, right? You're like, what's the point? You're beating around the bush. So it's a really good skill to be able to take a paragraph, for example, and put it into one sentence. I remember doing that in school. The teacher would say, okay, what's the main idea of each paragraph? And what do you think a book report is? A book report is where we would have to read a book and then sum it up. And remember this, in the United States, you never just write. So you would prepare the paper, but then you'd have to get up and present it. And that's a very American thing. It's not just about having an idea. It's about getting up in front of a group of people, getting rid of that stage fright, ese miedo escénico, and getting your point across. And that's exactly what we do every week in our question of the week. But it's not time for question of the week, as I said. It's time for the Say What soundbite. I'm going to give it to you for the first time, and then we'll analyze what you heard. Hopefully, before the end of the show, somebody will be able to get it word for word. Here it is.
In school, my French teacher, Miss Bird, used to totally fancy me, you know, always looking at me, you know, speaking French to me, bonjour, bonjour. And you could like see she was interested, you know, but it was never allowed to happen because she was grown up, I was 13.
Alberto, estoy leyendo un cómic y me estoy dando cuenta de que todas las onomatopeyas que salen son verbos en inglés.
Of course, man. We love making it easy.
Por ejemplo, aquí pone chomp y está un animal masticando.
Sure, to chomp.
Es mascar, ¿no?
Sí, mascar. Y lo haces con tus piños. You're chompers.
Ah, chompers es los piños grandotes, ¿no? Vale, y to click, por ejemplo.
To click. Well, to click is what you do on a computer. You click. Pinchar.
Perfecto, pinchas con el ratón. Claro, tiene sentido. To gulp.
Well, before I was gulping my soda. Gulp, 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 gulp.
Claro, estás tragando como un pato.
Eso es, no es lo mismo que sip. Sorber.
Bien. To thump.
Thump. Don't thump your fist on the table. No des un pum, pum en la mesa.
De hecho, el conejito de Bambi se llamaba Thumper.
Eso es, todo tiene sentido en inglés.
Claro que sí, por eso hemos hecho el tercer libro de This Book is the Milk, que se llama This Book is the Shit. Este libro es la leche. Por Alberto Alonso
y Damián Moya.
Así da gusto aprender. Y lo sabes.
And you know it. That's right, folks. You can pick up This Book is the Shit at grupovon.com. You can also find it in Madrid, Barcelona, Bilbao, Vigo, Valladolid, Valencia, Santander, Zaragoza, Las Tablas, and Pozuelo, where we have centers. All right. Now, that Say What soundbite. Oh, man. All right. I'll just ask one thing of you here. Do not learn English from this guy. All right. His English is, it's not the Oxford test of English, if you will. But, well, sadly, there are many people who talk like that, and it's incorrect. I'm not talking about pronunciation, but, okay, the pronunciation sounds a little bit, right? I always say this about pronunciation. If when you pronounce, it takes away from your message, you got to work on your pronunciation. Okay. If when you're speaking, your pronunciation doesn't stick out like a sore thumb, no es alguien diciendo, oh my God, he said, I have a very, whoa. That's aggressive almost. You know, you remember English is a lot more, and Spanish is more, right? Okay, that sounded a little bit more like Chinese, but you catch my drift. Every language is kind of like a genre of music. Think of it that way. And then even within the English language, this guy that we just heard sounds nothing like me. So that should help you out, at least with the accent part of today's Say What soundbite. I'll give you some time to think it over while we're taking a look at today's pop quiz. Pop quiz. Pop quiz. Yeah. That's right, amigos. It is our pop quiz here on the show with no name. And this is where we take a look at just one of the many materials that we have at Vaughn. And today it's my turn. That's right. We're going to take a look at my first book, English Everywhere. Now, I could easily do my books every day, but that's not what it's about. The section is about teaching you English using all the different materials available at our fingertips, a nuestro alcance, at the Vaughn Tienda. But today, we're taking a look at English Everywhere, Inglés en cualquier parte, which is the first book I ever wrote, my first baby, and you can pick it up at Vaughn Tienda, also wherever fine books are sold. And don't forget, if you take a look over here, I have the first page. Well, it's actually like the second or third page. You've got a website, audios.vaughntienda.com, and you go there and you have to put in the codes. There are codes that come with each of our books, and then you can download that audio and you can put it on your smartphone, your iPad, whatever you use. And this way you can take our materials with you everywhere. Hence the name English Everywhere. And in this book, we've got sightseeing. Well, I've heard a lot of people say to do tourism or to make tourism. I would never say that. It sounds weird. It sounds like a literal translation. Okay, people will understand you, but the real way to say it is to sightsee or to go sightseeing, lo que usamos con muchas actividades. And today we're going to go snowboarding. We're going to hit the slopes, como se dice. Vamos a acudir a las pistas. But this book will also help you at the restaurant, at the bank, in the restroom. Yeah, you need to know all that vocabulary too. In the club, like the 50 Cent song. You can find me in the club, bottle full of bub, but mommy, I got the X if you're into taking drugs. Also at the dentist, the theater, getting a haircut, the human body, and any other English that I deemed essential. English that you'll need for everyday situations, situaciones cotidianas. The book is also full of false friends, common mistakes, little pronunciation hacks, and all kinds of mini lessons as well. If you haven't picked it up, you can pick it up at Vaughn Tienda. And right now, as I said, we are going to hit the slopes. Nos vamos a las pistas, one of my favorite places to go, a place I haven't gone since I had the accident, but a place I am dying to go back to, even if it's just, to walk around and maybe take my daughter on the bunny slopes. What? Las pistas de conejo? Well, the bunny slopes are how we say the beginner's area. All right, we're going to learn that and much more in this little audio excerpt from English Everywhere. Listen carefully, because I will have some questions for you afterwards.
English Everywhere. All right, well, today we're going to one of my favorite places in the whole wide world. And you know where we're going? Well, if you know anything about me and you know that I'm kind of a snow buff, ahí ya tenemos vocabulario. I'm a snow buff. I'm a snow bunny. I love the snow. Yeah, a lot of people say, it's cold, it's wet, I don't like it. Well, that's because you've never flown down a mountain at full speed on a snowboard or a pair of skis before, because I'll tell you what, once you can do that, once you master that, llegar a dominar, to master, once you master that, well, I'll tell you something, you got a whole different idea of the winter, because a lot of people say, oh, I hate the winter, it's icy, it's cold. I look forward to the winter. Lo espero con mucha ilusión because some of my favorite sports are done during the winter month, as we call them, winter sports. So today we're going to look at, and we're going to go to the mountains. We're going to hit the mountains. Now, esto significa pegar, pero en este caso no estamos hablando de pegar nada. To hit is ir hacia. We're going to hit the mountains. We're going to hit the mountains. Y mira cómo lo pronuncio. Fijaros, nunca, no he dicho en ningún momento mountains. No, ni fountain, Fuente no, decimos mountain. ¿Sabes decir 10, no? 10, pues mountain. Ahí lo tienes. Es facilísimo esto del inglés. Okay, well, I've recruited a friend over here to the Team America snowboarding team and he's going to hit the slopes with us. Otra forma de decirlo, slopes, las pistas. He's going to hit the slopes with us today, and he's a good friend of mine, in fact, and well, he's kind of like me. He speaks English and Spanish very well. In fact, he grew up both in the United States and here in Spain. And you might know his sister because she's a very good friend of ours too. And she'll be participating on some of the book chapters as well. And that's the lovely Leila Chapoy. And well, today we're going to meet her brother, Kike. What's up, Kike? How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Alberto?
Okay, great, man. Great. Now, the reason I chose you for today was, well, I think it's pretty obvious. Why? Tell our listeners why I chose you to help me with this one.
Because we love snowboarding.
We are obsessed. We are snow bums. Es otra forma, vagabundos de la nieve. We are snow bums. All right, well, Ricky, I want you to start by telling us, because a lot of people say, I don't get it. What makes snowboarding and skiing, well, we don't ski, but what makes it such what's the attraction? What made you fall in love with this sport, this sport that we call snowboarding?
Well, there's several aspects that I love about snowboarding. One of them is being in nature, of course.
Yeah.
Up on the mountain, there's nothing like it. You can't compare it to anything else. It's not like being on the beach. It's not like being in a forest.
Right.
Well, it can be like being in a forest if there's,
Sure.
if you're high up there and there's, trees and stuff. But
right.
Mostly what we're talking about is being up on the mountain.
Yeah.
And all the snow.
Yeah, it's beautiful, really. When it's snowing at night and you wake up and you open the blinds, las persianas, you open the blinds, and there it is. It's just glistening. Now, glistening es como brillando, es otra forma. And the snow does glisten. Did you ever know? It kind of winks. Hace un ding, como ese sonido de dibujo animado. So, nature. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. Everybody's like, I love nature. Okay, well, you want views? You want spectacular views? Get on a snowboard.
That's right. On a snowboard or on the skis for those who love skiing.
Sure.
Yeah, nature is definitely one of the big aspects that we love about snowboarding or skiing.
Mm-hmm.
You can't find that, you can't really find something like that anywhere else. The snow, the mountains.
Sure. And you know what I love, and I'm sure you can attest to this too, is when you're up on the top over there, don't you feel like the rest of the world is just miles, millas, como decimos en inglés, kilometers below you?
Yeah, I mean, they look tiny down there. It's like
everybody looks like ants, but it's
right.
hormigas de ahí.
Yeah.
And then those days where you're like, oh, well, it's kind of there's a lot of precipitation. It's snowing. Well, we just go up higher and we're above like in an airplane. You go above the weather.
All right, my amigos. Well, you can tell by our voices how passionate, no passionate, se pronuncia como it, como aquello, how passionate we are about snowboarding. Again, I can't do it anymore. Well, doctor's orders, but you know what? We'll see. We'll see. When my daughter asks me if we can go snowboarding, I'm going to have a really hard time saying no. And but I also think there's a difference between the way I used to snowboard recklessly, temerario, right? Recklessly, and also the way I would do it now. So normally I was a bit careless. I admit it. I was a bit careless. I should be more careful. It's always good, as you know, when you learn some adjective or a phrasal verb, to learn the opposite, if there is one, right? Turn on, turn off. Careless versus careful. And well, I'm going to ask you guys a couple questions now to see if you know them. Now, this first word, I know we looked at it last week when we were looking at the movie Up. Remember, we looked at the movie Up, the Pixar movie about the house with the balloons. And I told you that gafas de esquí or de bucear, we don't call them glasses. All right. What do we call them? Use it in context just to make sure you're using it correctly. The next one, I want you to tell me equipo, not equipo team, pero tengo que comprar el equipo, right? So this is all the stuff you use if you're going to do a sport. So if you do kite surfing, es la cometa, it's right? Everything you need to carry out that sport. The word in Spanish, equipo, el equipamiento, I think you can say as well. And the last one, and this one, if you have the book, you'll know it, prioridad de paso. This isn't only one we use on the ski slopes, but we also use this one on the road. We're going to take a look at that and much more after this quick commercial break. So stick around. Hey folks, welcome back. Welcome back to part 2 of today's show with No Name. We're hitting the slopes today. Well, the winter is right around the corner. And I know people who hit the slopes. Well, they hit the mountains, but they don't hit the slopes. Don't forget, some of the greatest spas in the world are up at these ski resorts. Oh, yeah. Have you ever been to Caldea? I think that's what it's called, Caldea, in Andorra. Oh, my God. What a luxurious spa. Well, think about it. If you're out there snowboarding and skiing all day, you might be a little bit sore, especially if you're careless the way I was. And I used to be all bruised up, con moratones. So there's nothing like a jacuzzi, otra forma de decirlo, a hot tub, to relax you, and a couple beers at après-ski. You can tell I miss it, huh? Se nota que lo echo de menos. Oh, man. Well, if you can ski or snowboard, do it. Do a run for me. Haz una bajada. We say a run for me. And be careful. I've heard a lot of Spanish people say, I like to sky. Sky es cielo, ski. O sea, se dice igual, pero no lleva E delante y se escribe S-K-I. Okay? I like to ski. And if you go skiing, well, part of your equipo is your skis and your palos, sticks. No, we call them poles. That's right. I love how in Spanish, you guys, the snowboarders call the skiers palilleros. I remember that. I don't think they liked it very much. But hey, you know, it's that rivalry. Who owns the mountain? And really, everybody does. It's for everybody. So in this part of the show, we're going to listen to our Say What soundbite for the second time. We've also got our pop quiz answers. I see we've got a lot of students participating. Wonderful. We've also got our news report and so much more to cover in today's show. I hope you guys are taking notes because we're going to look at a lot of vocabulary, as always. And if you're anything like me, well, the older you get, the harder it is to remember things. I know it. I know it really well. I try. I even make an effort to try and remember things, and it doesn't work. Even when I write things down, I still miss appointments. Like, it's insane. So, if you're like me, then jot it down. The chances or the odds of you remembering them will increase tenfold. Do you know this? Tenfold is multiplicado por cualquier número. So threefold, multiplicado, doblado, piénsalo, lo doblas 3 veces. Maybe that is an easy way to associate it. All right, so let me give you the Say What soundbite. The guy I said I don't want you to sound like when you do our question of the week. And we'll take a look at your comments in just a moment. Here it is for the second time.
In school, my French teacher, Miss Bird, used to totally fancy me. you know, always looking at me, you know, speaking French to me, bonjour, bonjour. And you could like see she was interested, you know, but it was never allowed to happen because she was grown up, I was 13.
Hey, Damian, what's crack-a-lackin', buddy?
Hey, Alberto, I was planning to do some sports this week. What about playing baseball?
Ooh, baseball. I love it. But I'm not sure yet. Can we touch base next week?
Touch base. Estamos en contacto, ¿no? Hablamos en algún momento. Yeah, okay. Let's touch base. Okay, what about basketball? Do you want to play basketball?
Oh, man, I love basketball. It's one of my favorite sports. But I don't know if I can this weekend because I've already got plans. Oh, man, that's the way the ball bounces.
That's the way the ball bounces. Así están las cosas, ¿no? Así bota la pelota. Así bota la pelota. That's the way the ball bounces. I love that expression. Okay, what about tennis? Do you want to play tennis?
Well, I love tennis, but I'm not really a good player. If you don't mind playing with a novice, the ball's in your court, buddy.
La bola está en mi campo, ¿eh? La pelota está en mi tejado. All right. Do you want to play some soccer?
Sure, I'd love to play some soccer or football, as you call it. What time do we kick off?
Perfect. We're kicking off at 9. Are you available?
Sure, but I might have to play some golf before with some friends. It's par for the course.
It's par for the course. Es lo normal, ¿no? Es lo normalito, lo que se hace.
Mhm.
Okay, what about billiards? Do you like playing billiards?
Yeah, but right now I'm behind the 8 ball.
I'm behind the 8 ball. Estás detrás de la bola 8, como que llevas las de perder.
Yeah, wow, a lot of idiomatic expressions here.
Muy buenas expresiones. Si es que así da gusto aprender inglés con un profe como Alberto y un poquito de creatividad, tienes This Book is the Shit. El mejor libro para aprender inglés que te has echado a la cara in your life. Píllatelo, vas a disfrutar mogollón de dibujos para que lo aprendas todo fácil, con conexiones lógicas y divertidas. Es la manera más sencilla y más divertida de aprender inglés. No te la pierdas.
Damian, you're such a good sport. Te enrollas. You can pick up your copy of This Book is the Shit at
Vaughantienda.com.
It's the Shit. That's right, folks. This book is the shit. Available at Von Tienda. You can pick it up at any of our centers. You could go to Madrid, Barcelona, Bilbao, Vigo, Valladolid, Valencia, Santander, Zaragoza, Las Tablas, or Pozuelo. And don't think I did that off the top of my head. I've got them written down. No. I would never remember where we had centers if I had to remember it off the top of my head. Que significa a bote pronto, sin pensarlo, right? Off the top of my head. We use this quite often. All right, let's take a look. We are going to hit the slopes, and I see we've got a lot of participation here. Excellent job, Show with No Namers. All right, let's see if you know some of these words. Now, these are directly from chapter 20 of English Everywhere, Inglés en cualquier parte. Okay, how would you say tuvo que comprar nuevas fijaciones? Él tuvo que comprar nuevas fijaciones. Fijaciones no son las botas ni la tabla, es lo otro. Es lo que conecta la tabla con las botas, que a veces son más caras que las botas. Okay. Oh, yeah. Snowboarding is quite an expensive hobby. I realized when I stopped snowboarding, I started saving quite a bit of money because it's fun, but the equipment isn't cheap. Os acabo de decir una forma de decir el equipo, but there's another way, a totally native way. And we'll take a look at it in just a moment. All right. So I had to. We don't say I had to. El to no es importante. Entonces nos lo medio comemos. I had to. I have to. She has to. ¿Qué tienen en común todas esas estructuras? El to es to. De ahí I'm going to. I'm gonna. Right? Because a lot of people say, ¿por qué llega una A si es going to? Pues el to, si suena como to, I'm going to. I'm gonna. See? And then you start meshing it together. So remember, to isn't always to. in English. So I had to, porque esa parte no cambia. Think about that too when you're putting together a sentence and you're saying it aloud. What part changes and what part stays the same? I had to buy new bindings. Now that's a really literal word. Why? Well, they bind your feet to the snowboard. And to bind is amarrar, atar. See? And it's a verb too, right? They bind them. So let's conjugate it. Every day I bind my feet to the snowboard. Yesterday, I bound my feet, and lately I've bound. So be careful with that one. It's quite irregular. Okay. And remember, we use the word bound as well for rumbo a, right? This is a Manhattan bound train. If you've ever taken the New York City subway, they'll say this is a Brooklyn bound train con dirección tal, con destino, bound, atado a ese sitio. If you think about it, it all comes from the word bind. Okay. And so they're called bindings. And what about that false friend? How would you say hay una tabla en la mesa? There's a board on the table, right? Well, I've heard a lot of people say, I'm going to go get my table. I'm like, vas a bajar la montaña con una mesa? Okay, well, it sounds like a new sport. Another word, summit. I know we've looked at this word and it has double meanings just like in Spanish. No hay muchas veces que pasa eso, que significa la palabra en ambos sentidos. Summit, cumbre de una montaña, and summit, cumbre de que se juntan muchos países o muchas empresas. A summit. All right, tiene dos M's, summit. We already said they're not called ski sticks, they're called ski poles. En el golf, ¿cómo se llaman? Los palos de golf? Sticks or poles? Golf clubs. That was a trick question. They're called golf clubs, right? A good way to remember it. He bought golf clubs at the golf club. No, en el club de golf compró los palos. Okay? The only one that is stick is pool, del billar. A pool stick, or también se puede decir a pool cue. ¿Qué? ¿Piscina? Well, you can say billiards, but it's much more common to say pool. You want to shoot some pool? Do you want to play some pool? Okay. What else have we got? Oh, cabaña, refugio. This is usually when you go down to a ski resort. This is usually the main area, right? Where they have a fireplace, they have lockers donde puedes guardar las cosas. There's a restaurant, bathrooms. We call this the lodge. Okay, a ski lodge. Lodge, Lodge. And if you're familiar, if you've been to the United States, there is a famous hotel chain called Econo Lodge, right? Econo, porque es económico. Lodge, porque es una cabaña refugio. All right? We've got the ski lift. The ski lift is el remonte. The ski lift or the chair lift, not to be confused with the rope tow. The rope tow is el como suena, como una cuerda. Now, those are not for everybody. Okay, those are harder to get on than a chair lift / ski lift. And then you got the T-bars as well. Those are difficult. T-bars. So these are different words that you'll see if you're going to go skiing or snowboarding this summer. We already looked at the bunny slopes, right? Another word you might recognize, avalanche. Well, you say avalancha. Well, we say we have an E at the end of it, but it's a silent E. All right. Lesionarse. How would you say me lesioné? I got injured. I got injured. Okay. Me hice un esguince en el tobillo. I sprained my ankle. I sprained my ankle. All right. Good. A little review over there. And hopefully some of you will be hitting the slopes this winter. As I said, do a run, una bajada, for me, please. And do it fast. Don't break too much. No le des muy fuerte a los frenos. All right, now let's see what you guys came up with for our answers in our pop quiz. The first one we've got here is goggles. I always wear goggles. Well, I remember lots of times when I was up on the slopes And again, when you're going 60 kilometers, 40 kilometers per hour, something like that, which my friends and I kind of, we reached speeds at least near that. Well, any little thing, and even I'm talking about some sleet. Now, sleet is aguanieve, right? That can really hurt your eyes, okay? So you want to protect your eyes. And again, goggles are not just used on the slopes, but we also use goggles if you're going to go scuba diving, right? To go scuba diving is buceo, you say. Acordaos, con actividades is go. So to go camping, to go kayaking, to go snowboarding, to go skiing, right? And you can, I'm sure, think of, here's a good way to practice that one. Think of all your favorite activities that you like to do, and then practice them aloud. I'm going to go mountain climbing. I'm going to go horseback riding. Esto es montar a caballo. I'm going to go whatever. Fill in the blank with your favorite activities, your favorite pastimes. All right, the second word was equipment. Many of you put equipment. Great job. But we also call it gear. Gear. So if you're going to go snowboarding, you need gear. Now, you can rent that gear, but if you're going to go often, you're better off buying the gear. The only problem is, I remember once I bought a snowboard with bindings. I already had my boots, and I bought it, and it was around 800 euros. Okay? And this was 10 years ago. Okay, just to give you an idea, this stuff is not cheap. And then I don't know in Spain, but I know. Let's take a look. Oh, there's another false friend as well. We don't call it a forfeit. Okay, in fact, it sounds like another word, forfeit. And to forfeit is ceder tu derecho. If you don't come before 4 o'clock, you forfeit your opportunity to participate. Okay, that's forfeit. But forfeit, we don't use. We say a ski pass. Let's see, ski pass Aspen for a day. Are you ready for this? A single day ticket for Aspen Snowmass. Why don't you guys take a guess? You can take a guess here in the comments. Now, I know Sierra Nevada, Baqueira, I think that's usually at least 10 years ago, which maybe it's gone up quite a bit, was anywhere from 30 to 50 euros per day. Okay, that's just to use the ski lifts and the slopes. Okay, I'm sure a big part of that is insurance too, el seguro, because, well, accidents happen, So guess how much a ski pass, a one-day ski pass costs in Aspen. Are you ready for this? $279. You haven't eaten yet. You haven't rented your equipment, your gear. La palabra más nativa ahí is gear, right? Gear. Cuidado, I've heard people say gear. Top Gear. No, Top Gear, el programa se llama. So that's like Richard Gere. Hey, suena igual. Richard Gere bought a lot of ski gear. Okay, so that's el equipo. It's a shorter way of saying the word equipment. So you are going to shell out, soltar, a lot of cash, mucha pasta, $279. And you have to get there. You have to have a hotel because you can't sleep on the street in Aspen, right? Especially in the winter. And, let's say you live an hour away and you don't need a hotel. You still have to eat. And, you might want to have a beer or a coffee or something to take a little break, from going up and down the slopes all day. $279. That is insane. Let's take a look here. Most expensive ski pass. Maybe it's not Aspen. I said Aspen because Aspen is a very popular one here. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Are you serious? Okay. A single day window ticket. Eso es que lo compras en la ventanilla at Park City or Vail. So these are obviously, well, I don't know if they're better, but they're more expensive than Aspen. Okay. So, a single day window ticket at Park City or Vail can exceed $320. Oh my God. Guys, that's not for the season. That is for the day. I think my friends got one in Val Nord in Andorra for less than that for the year, for the season. It's not a year, por la temporada. Wow. Holy cow. 320. And it says here with fees. So Park City in Utah, this is in Utah, it is $354 for one day. I'm kind of glad I gave up snowboarding. I don't think I can afford it. Jeez Louise. And I thought 50 euros a day was expensive. All right, folks. Well, our last one over here, because we already looked at goggles, we looked at equipment and gear, and I see many people have gotten the third one here, to have the right of way. And the example I use in the book is the person in front of you has the right of way. So that's makes sense. On the road, it's the person to the right, right? If you're all arriving at an intersection at the same time, well, the person to the right has the right of way. Hey, that's a really good way to remember it. All right, well, wonderful job, everybody. I see you are ready to hit the slopes. All right, though, we've got to move on to today's news report.
This is the news report on the show with no name, bringing you the latest breaking news. I'm Alberto Alonso, reporting live.
All right. Well, folks, now I've got to say something. Everybody's looking for a good catch. Un buen partido, you say? Somebody that they can share their lives with, who has similar values as them. But it seems like it's not too easy for single people to meet their match these days. And a 42-year-old woman, in a last-ditch effort, o sea, último esfuerzo, no, ahí al final, we call it a last-ditch effort, has decided to splash some cash. To splash some cash is gastarse una pasta. Yeah, she's going snowboarding in the United States. No. What she has done is she has rented billboards, pancartas de estas publicitarias, vallas publicitarias, you call them, that, are telling people that she's looking for a mate. Some of them that say, marry me, I want to fall in love. Yes, a woman, she's a 42-year-old woman, and she has rented a dozen, no dozen, se dice dozen, una docena, of digital billboards in California on Highway 101. That's like the most famous Hollywood highway. And she is advertising that she is available to give her hand in marriage to any commuter, porque son gente que se está desplazando, que lo ve, who is ready to commit, comprometerse. And she said, people would be shocked if they knew how much this is costing me. ¿Cuánto me está costando esto? But I guess desperate needs call for desperate measures. Well, she didn't reveal the amount. And some people thought it was a joke. They're like, oh, she's joking. This is some kind of gimmick or some kind of scam. No, she said, and I quote, "This is not a joke. It's not a gimmick. This is serious and a self-funded, autofinanciado endeavor." And an endeavor es un esfuerzo. She says, I just want to find my husband. She is sick of being single. And so she's got a website. If you want to check it out, it's marrylisa.com. And that's where eligible bachelors can apply. Esto es como, no, para un trabajo. We apply for a job. Well, if you're interested in marrying Lisa, well, you can go over to her website and, go through her test and see if you make the grade. To make the grade or to make the cut is dar la talla. And she's even taking out ad space on taxi cabs. I guess she's looking for commuters, as I said, because she's doing it on the 101 highway and also on the taxis. So, but she says it is impossible. She has been trying to find love, and all her friends think she's insane or delusional. It's a modern way. But after her last failed relationship, which ended last year, she started doing what many people do, and they try meeting people on these dating apps. And it was disaster after disaster. And she decided that the dating apps were not working for her. She wasn't happy with the pool. En este caso, el pool es la gente que hay ahí, right? The gene pool, genética, por ejemplo. So she said, all right, well, I am going to find a mate at all costs. Now, remember, in British English, a mate es un amigo. In American English, it's somebody you mate with, you procreate with. And who knows if it's going to work, but guess what? She isn't the only one. In fact, there are a lot of people out there who are sick of being single. And, one woman, Eve Tylee Colson, another woman from Los Angeles, said that she would pay a $5,000 referral fee to anyone willing to help her find the one. A referral fee, a ver cómo lo dicen aquí. A referral fee es comisión por presentar nuevos clientes. Guys, the dating game out there is pretty serious. It's pretty harsh when people are splashing cash to find their ideal mate. Folks, we're going to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with the second half of today's show. So stick around. Hey, amigos, welcome back. Welcome back, amigos. It is time for the second half of today's show. And don't forget to tune in after today's show. You can continue to learn English with Ale on Speaking with Confidence. After that, you got the lunchtime show with Rob Grams. Then you can learn English with Ruby, also with Jules Linares in Let's Get Random. You've also got Dave Boys and the Salad, followed by Kyle Miller's Drive Time. For all you commuters, maybe some of you want to marry Lisa. Wow. Makes me feel really lucky. I mean, I already feel lucky to have such a lovely family. But man, this is what happens, I think, when we have a generation where we just focus on our own happiness. If I'm good, everybody's good. That's not the way it works. It's the opposite. If everybody around you is doing well, you're going to be doing well, right? But LA, New York, I know that there are a lot of people in those cities, but eligible people, let's see that word, eligible. Eligible es idóneos, aptos, que cumplen los requisitos. That's a whole different story. That's another ball of wax. Es harina de otro costal. Hey, we were talking about snowboarding. Fera. All right, my amigos, are you ready for a little challenge? I know you are. All right, let's kick things off with our homophones on the show with no name.
Homophones, homophones on the show with no name. It's homophones time, cause homophones rhyme. They sound the same on the show with no name. The show with no name. Homophones on the show with no name. Cause homophones time, cause homophones rhyme. They sound the same on the show with no name. The show with no name. The show with no name. The show with no name.
All right, my amigos. Now, I know you're familiar with both of these words. In fact, I'm pretty sure you've even used them. So the real question today isn't, do you know the words? It's, do you pronounce them the way they should be pronounced? We'll find out in a moment. The first word is ojos. I told you, today's words are going to be really easy. I mean, I think everybody who's listening right now should know how to spell and hopefully how to say ojos. Okay? Ojos. Okay? We also use it in costura también, como el ojo, ¿no? Cuando pones el hilo por el ojo. Also on a potato, los ojos de una patata también. So it's not just ojos de la cara. Okay? That is your first word, ojos. The second word is another word I know you know, and that word is hielo. Hielo. Hey, we were talking about snowboarding. Perfect. And we were talking about goggles. Well, goggles protect your ojos from the hielo. Now, the question is, do those two words sound exactly the same or not? All right, and we'll take a look at your answers in just a moment. I'm going to give you the Say What soundbite here for the third time.
In school, my French teacher, Miss Bird, used to totally fancy me. You know, always looking at me, you know, speaking French to me, bonjour, bonjour. And you could like see she was interested, you know. But it was never allowed to happen because she was grown up, I was 13.
Listen carefully. Can you hear that? No. Listen closer. I'm not talking about the birds chirping. I'm talking about everybody speaking English and feeling comfortable. Listen. This is what it's like at Vaughan Town, a peaceful place where you can really learn English and lose your inhibitions. There's a reason it's one of our star programs. Vaughan Town, lose your fear of speaking English. If you want more information about this immersive experience, go to grupovaughan.com or give us a call, 911-385831. Lose your fear of speaking English and express yourself with clarity at Vaughan Town. That's right, folks. If you want more information about Vaughan Town, our master's program, maybe our Disney Vaughan English for the kids, you can get all that information at grupovaughan.com. Also, if you're following us on social media, you'll know everything we need you to know, including our upcoming trivia night, which is going to be hosted by yours truly. And that's right, un servidor is yours truly. That's me. That's right. And that is on November 4th. It's November 4th, and it's going down at 8 p.m. Ocurriendo. It's going down at 8 p.m. But again, I would recommend you get there a little bit earlier. Get there 7:30, 7:45. And this way, well, you can say hello, because a lot of times when we start, once we start, it's hard to like chat with everybody, but I usually have time to chat before. So if you'd love to have a chat with me, that's great. I'd love to talk to all of you. But once we get started, it's hard because I'm talking to everyone. I'm presenting. And at the end, I'm one of the first ones to jet, to bounce. Son dos formas muy nativas, totally native ways of saying largarse. Yeah, well, it's a school night, como se dice. El día siguiente hay cole. So, and not just cole. We say that for work, too. It's a school night. Significa no es fin de semana. Hay que madrugar. So, usually right after the trivia night, I don't hang around. I get out of there and get home, especially because I don't live near the center of Madrid. I live quite far from the center of Madrid. So I look forward to seeing you all there. It's going to be a fun night. I know all our friends at Vaughn Radio, both listeners and teachers, will be there celebrating life, celebrating the fact that we can get together and have an amazing evening of enriching relationships and also learning about all different things. Now, I'm going to tell you now, I can give you a couple clues. My questions are usually pop culture based. So they're based on music, movies, kind of like the show with no name, that kind of vibe. All right. Now, when Richard Vaughn hosts, which I believe, don't quote me, but I believe he's hosting in December, his questions are more highbrow. Do you know this? Highbrow. Bueno, hablando de ojos, highbrow. Well, your brow is your ceja. But the word highbrow is intelectual, culto, para intelectuales. So what does lowbrow mean? That's me. Now, again, why do I do that? Well, I could ask you all these questions that I could look up and encyclopedias and all that. But also I like to see your knowledge of music, movies, cultural events, and things like that. Either way, enjoy all of our trivia nights because they're free, right? Okay, now let's take a look. I've got a lot of students participating in our homophones, and it seems like everybody agrees today. Let me see. Yeah. So everybody here is saying that the two words don't sound the same. Interesting. And nobody got the words wrong, so good job there. I didn't expect anybody to get the words wrong. But also, you're telling me they don't sound the same. All right, well, let's look at the words. The first word is eyes. Eyes. He has his father's eyes. Eyes. You hear that zzz at the end? Eyes. Oh, yeah. Look me in my eyes. Mírame los ojos. Look me in my eyes and tell me. A song comes to mind. Look into my eyes, you will find there's nothing. Now, you can find that in so many songs. There are a lot of songs that have to do with eyes. Are there songs that have to do with ice? Of course. You're as cold as ice. Do they sound the same? Look into my eyes. You're as cold as ice. There's me with the pop culture again. Eyes. All right. I'm going to say sus ojos son fríos como el hielo, que es una expresión. His eyes are as cold as ice. Do they sound the same? Absolutely not. Knocking it out of the park. Show with no namers. Let's rhyme some words. So eyes rhymes with surprise. Close your eyes. I have a surprise. I tell you no lies. Right? Es una Z al final. Zzz. Bueno, Z no en español, porque Z en español es but zzz, easy. Really important, that sound. Every time we look at it, I'm like, guys, you have to realize zzz, every time he tries. Ahora, lo estoy exagerando un poquitín, pero para que lo oigas que vibra al final. Right? Eyes. And the other one, ice. Ice. That's a S, puro y duro. Aunque es una C-E, sabemos. So ice, say these aloud with me. Ice rhymes with mice. Ice rhymes with twice. Ice rhymes with dice. Dados. Can you think of any other? Well, remember, if you do come up with some rhyming words, the whole idea is to pronounce them aloud. Because if you're just reading them in your head, are you really practicing? Right? So the key in all of our exercises, even if you're typing things here in our group chat, is make sure that you say them aloud as well as writing them down. Writing them down is great because you'll probably remember them once you've written them down. Even if you don't go back to your notebook, you'll probably remember them. And if you say them, well, you'll remember possibly how to say them, right? Your tongue will be used to making that zzz, your tongue, your teeth, your whole mouth to making those sounds. And I remember, I think of a very famous TV presenter here in Spain. And when I started teaching him, he really had level 0 in English. So when we started, learning the basics, is it a car? What is it? Is it? He told me, Alberto, my mouth feels really weird right now. And I said, great. That means you're doing it right. It shouldn't feel familiar, right? Okay. And now once you've practiced, once you've got a higher level, it should start to feel familiar, how your mouth just moves in a different way. I always tell you, I could look at two people's mouths with the volume off, and I'll tell you, this person's speaking a different language than that one, just because of the movements of the mouth, the tongue, the alveolar ridge, and all the parts of the mouth that make speech possible, right? Not just the mouth, the nose too, when we're breathing through our nose. So all of these things, these physiological things, these biological things, those are important too. Sure, your mouth doesn't do the same things when you're making sounds in English. So excellent job in our homophone section. You guys are on fire today. And now we're going to take a look at wacky world records.
Wacky World Records. These are the wackiest records in the whole wide world.
All right, folks, welcome to Wacky World Records. Again, if you guys want to share any, world records, feel free. You can do it. World records, double troubles. I always give you credit. So siempre os doy el mérito. If I use one of yours, I will let the other students know. This one is from tal persona. This one is from, in fact, I think tomorrow we're taking a look at a double trouble that Elena sent us, if I'm not mistaken, tomorrow or maybe the next day. So again, my email is open to you guys, not just for the say what sound, not the say what sound, for the question of the week, for our speaking exercise, but also suggestions. Hey, Alberto, I learned a new expression. I thought maybe we could use it in a double trouble. I'm open. And again, I think it's great just that you guys are motivated enough to want to share things you've learned with your other students, with your fellow students. And you know why? Well, usually when we learn something and we share it with someone else, well, that's us reinforcing it in our heads. It's real. They always say you really know something when you can teach it, right? So if you know how to skate, it's great. But if you can teach someone else how to skate, that means you really know what you're doing. You really know your stuff. Sabes de lo que hablas. You can also say you really know your shit, pero evidentemente eso es vulgar. All right, let's see what wacky world record we have today. All right, this is the fastest motorized wheelbarrow. Now, that's a weird word, isn't it? Do you know what this is? A wheelbarrow? All right, let's pretend I didn't speak Spanish, okay? And I had to explain it to you because that happens sometimes. Sometimes you're like, oh man, no sé decirlo. Don't worry. Try and describe it. I did it. I remember the way I learned the word percha in Spanish. I always tell this story, but it's so true because I'll never forget it. I was moving, estaba cambiando de piso, and I said to my friend, I said, actually it was his mom, and his mom didn't speak English. And I said, tenéis, and I'm like, colgadores, hangers. No. Tenéis, and she was looking at me like, what are you asking me here? And then finally I said, las cosas estas de metal o plástico que usamos para colgar la ropa. She's like, oh, perchas. And I'm like, ah, thank you. So again, you don't need to know every word, but you should know how to describe it in a few sentences, in a few words, okay? So what is a wheelbarrow? I'm not going to give you the word, and you tell me the word in Spanish, even though I have it right in front of me. But this is just to prove to you that if you explain something, someone will get it. Another thing I use too, it's a great tool, Google Images. Yeah, oigo una palabra en español, I put it into the Google search bar and I hit images y te salen imágenes de eso. Y dice, pues ahí queda clarísimo de lo que estás hablando. All right, so a wheelbarrow is something you can use around the house, not in the house, outside of the house. Well, let's say you need to move dirt, tierra, from one area to another area. Or maybe you have to carry some bricks, unos ladrillos, because you're doing some work in the garden. Or maybe rocks, you're landscaping and you're putting some rocks in the garden. And it has a wheel. Bueno, el nombre ya te lo ha dicho, a wheelbarrow. It usually has one wheel in the front, and the back it's got like two things that lie flat. So it doesn't have three wheels, but it has 3 points where it touches the ground. And then it has two handles, and you pick it up and you can wheel whatever you need around. And obviously it's easier than picking it up because you don't have to throw out your back. Did you say carretilla? Yes, it's carretilla. Good, good. I don't know if I explained it. I haven't used a wheelbarrow in a long time. And in fact, when I was a kid, I used to think it was wheelbarrow, como barril. Yeah. Since I hadn't seen it written, like every word when we first learned it, I was like, oh, a wheelbarrow. But it's not barrel, it's barrow. A wheelbarrow. Well, a British mechanic, a man named Dylan Phillips, was trying to make the first custom-built vehicle that would be a motorized wheelbarrow. And this was in Yorkshire, in England. And this was in 2024. He went to an airfield. Aerodromo, you say? It's like a smaller version of an airport. Okay, donde hay aviones más pequeños. It's not an airport is where big planes come and go all the time. An airfield is más, there are ones in the north of Madrid. There's also in the south of Madrid, you have airfields. Okay, it's a little same idea, just a little bit smaller, less professional. And so this guy went to this airfield in Yorkshire. It's not Yorkshire, Americans, it's Yorkshire. And he built this custom-made, hecho a medida, motorized wheelbarrow. And he didn't do it because he wanted to move everything around quickly. No, he did it because he wanted the Guinness World Record. And he did. He got it. He got this wheelbarrow up to 58.58 miles per hour. Okay, I'll give it to you in kilometers. 84.6 kilometers per hour. Now, that's faster than a lot of motorbikes, or especially those scooters or mopeds, right? The Vespas. So that's pretty crazy, but he got this motorized wheelbarrow up to 84.6 kilometers per hour. Now you know why he was in an airfield. Well, it was to have a controlled environment. And obviously there you have the runway, la pista, where you can get up to speed. And he did, but he said it's pretty scary, when it's moving at that speed. But the real issue was slowing down. That's right. So it kind of reminds me of snowboarding. Anybody can snowboard. Just keep your balance and you're going to fly down the hill, right? It's gravity. The problem is braking. Los frenos. And since this unusual vehicle only has brakes in the front, well, think about it when you went on your bike as a kid in tu bici. What did you do? If you hit the front brakes, you would go over the handlebars, el manillar, right? So, but it worked, and he got the Guinness World Record for the fastest motorized wheelbarrow. Dylan Phillips, at a whopping 84.6 kilometers per hour. And that's today's wacky world record. Now it's time for our spelling bee.
Spelling bee. Spelling bee. Spelling bee. Spelling bee. Spelling bee.
All right, amigos, this is our spelling bee. Round one. I am going to fly through these words. Let's see if you can keep up. The first one is IBERIAN space PENINSULA. The second one is HISPANIA space CITERIOR. The third one, HISPANIA space ULTERIOR. The next one, BAETICA. The fifth one, LUSITANIA. And the last one is HISPANIA space TARRACONENSIS. I'm out of breath officially. So if you got that, you are definitely a superstar. Let's see, I'm going to give you about another 10, 15, 20 seconds, and then we've got to start round two. Not because I want to, because we have to go to a commercial break. It's a question of the time we have available. All right, going once, going twice. It's a tough one. Lots of vowels here. Muchos vocales, que son, yo creo, lo más difícil. La A, la E, y la I. All right, round two. I'll slow down considerably. Let's see how you do. The first one is IBERIAN space PENINSULA. The second one is HISPANIA space CITERIOR. The third one is HISPANIA space ULTERIOR. The fourth one is BAETICA. The fifth, LUSITANIA. And the last one is HISPANIA space TARRACONENSIS. Folks, we're taking our final commercial break. We'll be right back with the rest of today's show, so stick around. Hey, amigos, welcome back. Welcome back to this, the fourth and final part of today's show with no name. Thank you to all of you for learning and laughing with me. That's for you, show with no namers. And thanks for the energy you give to all my amigos. Your energy, your oomph, your pizzazz. And you know those words because you guys, you're in the big leagues. My promise to you is to teach you real English, not that textbook bullshit. The real deal, Holyfield. Lo auténtico. All right, I see we've got some winners in our spelling bee. Excellent job. We'll take a look at those in just a moment. We've also got to take a look at our double trouble. We've got our Say What soundbite for the fourth. Oh my God, the fourth time. We've got Name That Movie. We've got jokes, famous birthdays, and so much more. And we've got 26 minutes to do it all. Let's take a look at our double trouble. Is it double or triple? Oh man, I had a feeling. It's not a double trouble, folks. It's a triple trouble. Now, I think it's easy for you guys. Again, I'm always thinking of you guys when I'm creating the content for the show. I'm like, is this too easy? Is this too hard? Is this just right? So I think IMO, for you guys and your level, this should be a walk in the park. Pan comido. So let's get right into today's triple trouble. Yeah.
Double trouble, baby. Yeah, you know what time it is. Give it up. Double trouble. I said double trouble. Double trouble. I said double trouble.
That's right, folks. It is our double trouble, triple trouble, I should say, on today's show with no name. Again, I don't think you guys should have too much difficulty with it, but we shall see. Veremos. All right, here we go. Dame un toque cuando encuentres el anillo en el cuadrilátero. Okay, I know. Triple trouble, tough. Not this one. You got, in fact, I expect to see people getting it within the first 30 seconds because I know you guys, you're superstars. So you got to use the same word 3 times, as you know. And it's dame un toque cuando encuentres el anillo en el cuadrilátero. Dame un toque por teléfono, right? Cuando encuentres el anillo en el cuadrilátero. You have to use the same word 3 times, and we'll take a look at your answers in just a moment. Also, let me give you today's grammatically incorrect Say What soundbite for the 4th and final time. Good luck, amigos.
In school, my French teacher, Miss Bird, used to totally fancy me. You know, always looking at me, you know, speaking French to me, bonjour, bonjour. And you could like see she was interested, you know. But it was never allowed to happen because she was grown up, I was 13.
Nunca he entendido por qué a la gente le hacía gracia el personaje de Spider Cerdo de la película de Los Simpsons. Es que no tiene gracia.
¿Cuál dice? ¿Spider-Ham?
Spider-Ham,
Es graciosísimo en inglés.
Claro, tiene todo el sentido. Es como la araña jamón.
Eso es.
Claro, tiene sentido que sea un cerdo. Y su identidad secreta es
Peter Porker en vez de Peter Parker.
Ah, claro, tiene sentido. Porker, que es como...
Porker es un gordito y viene de pork, que es cerdo.
Ah, tiene todo el sentido del mundo. Así da gusto aprender con This Book is the Shit, el tercer libro de Alberto Alonso
y Damián Moya.
No te pierdas nuestro método Milky. Vas a aprender un montón porque en realidad ya lo sabías todo.
That's right, folks. This book is the milk. This book is the milk, too. Also, this book is the shit, available at Von Tienda, as well as English Everywhere, which we looked at in today's pop quiz. And my fourth book, I had to think about that. My fourth book, English on the Go, which is about discovering things while we're traveling. Discovering things through tasting things, through smells, through sports. I mean, we use the five senses when we're learning. Well, the six ones, common sense too, right? The least abundant of the senses. All right, now let's go over here to our chat room. As expected, I've got several, not several. Nos comemos la segunda, several, right? No tres sílabas, sino dos. I've got several people participating, and let's take a look at those answers. All right. Give me a ring. Muy bien. Excellent. When you find the ring in the ring. Yes. Yes. Give me a ring. O sea, le puedes decir a alguien, dame un toque y dame un anillo, and it's the same exact thing. Okay, give me a ring when you find the ring in the ring. That's right, a boxing ring or a ring a secas. So give me a ring when you find the ring in the ring was today's triple trouble. Now, here's a question for you. What's another way to say give me a ring? Tenemos otras formas de decir dame un toque. Give me a holler. Give me a shout. Yeah, son dos formas de decir gritar. O sea, pégame un grito. Give me a holler. Give me a shout. And give me a ring. All three are the same thing, but you'll hear some people say, give me a holler. You'll hear some people say, give me a shout. And other people say, give me a ring. Again, what happens every time we come across many ways to say something? Recognize them all. Use the one that makes sense to you. The one that you are bound to remember. Okay? Y mira, ahí está el bound otra vez. Bind, bound, bound. You're bound to, destinado a, let's see, you're bound to, y no me da, okay, vamos a poner bound. Si me pone bind, y yo pongo bound, hello, don't put what you want, put what I want. I didn't give it. Okay, bound to. Regido por, obligado, no. You're bound to find something. Ser fijo, seguro. More than likely. You're bound to. Okay? That's a really native expression. Another day, we're going to look at that word bind and bound, because as we saw when we were looking at English Everywhere and hitting the slopes, it's a pretty rich word. It's a pretty rich idea, because we even looked at, we are Brooklyn bound. We are Spain bound, con rumbo a tal sitio. Also the bounds, el límite. Oh, wow. You can expect to see a little lesson on the word bind and bound, which is the second and third column. So wonderful job, everybody, in our triple trouble. Again, it wasn't too difficult today, but you guys proved it. That's all. All right. Also, we're going to take a look at our spelling bee. Now, the reason I chose these words today is because today in the year 409, the Vandals and the Alans crossed the Pyrenees. Hey, the Pyrenees? You mean, did they go snowboarding? No. They crossed the Pyrenees and appeared in Hispania. I didn't say España. I said Hispania. Well, that's the Roman name for it, right? The Iberian Peninsula in general, including Portugal, was called Hispania, okay? And it was divided into two provinces, Hispania Citerior and Hispania Ulterior, okay? And then Hispania Ulterior was subdivided into Bética, El Betis, now I see where it comes from, and Lusitania, while Hispania Citerior was reorganized as Hispania Tarraconensis. Tarragona? What? Yeah. Oh my goodness. So yes, it was used. It was the Roman name for the Iberian Peninsula. It was also used during the Visigoth rule as well. And as you can imagine, the modern name Spain, España, it comes from that root. So today we did a little bit of Spanish history. And Vandals, well, look at that. They got their own word. They're Vandals. They were Germanic people. And, well, I guess they loved to vandalize. That's why they were called the Vandals. Well, actually, no. That's where the word Vandals came from, and vandalize. And the Alans, well, the Alans were, they were from Iran. Oh, I didn't know that. They were these nomadic pastoral people, and they migrated to what is known as the North Caucasus. Okay, so this was way before all of us roamed the earth. And quite interesting, as I always say, one of the amazing things about Spain, besides its gastronomy, its culture, it's also its rich history. You know, you can go to any little town and you can find a monastery, you can find a cathedral, you can find, just some Roman ruins, and it's amazing. And when you think about the fact that Spain is smaller than Texas, then it blows your mind. So all of those words had to do with Hispania, which was, again, today it was the Pyrenees, which is the border, the bounds, usamos la otra palabra ahí, of the country, which still is today, right? Between France and, of course, Andorra. So that was the year 409 when the Vandals and the Alans crossed the Pyrenees. All right, amigos, we've got a lot of stuff to do, so we're going to keep moving along here with today's Name That Movie. Name That Movie. All right, let's take a look at our synopsis here. Two friends and business partners find their lives turned upside down when strange circumstances lead them to be temporary guardians of 7-year-old twins. Vamos por partes. So two friends, fácil, and business partners, socios. Yeah, if you want to make a distinction between a partner, a romantic partner, and a business partner, you can say my business partner, because it's the same word, socio y pareja in English. So two friends and business partners find their lives turned upside down, boca abajo. Upside down, boy, you turn me inside out. When strange circumstances, no circunstances, circum, y es con M, no es circun, es circum. So, es parecido, pero vosotros usáis una N, nosotros una M. So say it with me. When strange circumstances lead them, les lleva, to be the temporary guardians of 7-year-old twins. And a guardian is somebody who is, well, I guess legal guardian, we would say. The full term is legal guardian. Y no es guardián. Vamos a ver. Guardian, tutor. That's the word. Because a guardian, well, it could be a protector. But if you think about it, what is a guardian? Your job as a parent or tutor, right, is to guard and protect that child. Right? So you are the legal guardian of that child. And we looked at that word last week. Remember, la U muda, guardian. Olvídate, porque guardians. I've heard a lot of people say bodyguard. That's when we looked at it, right? So it's guard. The verb is to guard. The person is a guardian. And be careful, because tutor is the word tutor in English, que se escribe igual, is somebody who helps you with your school subjects if you're having trouble. A private teacher is a tutor, right? And a guardian is somebody who legally takes care of you. All right, let's take a look at the scene over here. Troop leader Adam says, hey, you remind me of that old dude who stole my girlfriend. Me recuerdas a. You remind me of. Muy diferente que remind me to. Remind me to tell you that story later. Recuérdame que haga tal cosa y me recuerda a tal cosa. Okay, so again, you remind me of my friend. Me recuerdas a mi amigo. Remind me to tell you about him. Recuérdame que te cuenta. O sea, ambos emplean el remind, pero con diferentes, what's the word? Different formulas, right? Different structures. So you remind me of that old dude, ese tío viejo, who stole my girlfriend. And Charlie says, what? And he goes, yeah, you. Mr. Wall of Hair, muro de pelo, le está llamando peludo, hairy. And then Charlie says, what's your problem? ¿Cuál es tu problema? What's your problem? And the troop leader says, yeah, how about we go dig a hole? Vamos a ir a cavar un agujero. And then Charlie says, he's given me the stink eye. We looked at the word eyes before in our homophone. Well, do you know what it means if somebody gives you the stink eye? El ojo apestoso? Bueno, significa que no se han lavado los ojos. No. The stink eye or the evil eye es echar mal de ojo, I think you say. It's to give somebody a dirty look, okay? So the evil eye or the stink eye. He's given me the stink eye. He's given me the evil eye. It is not a pleasant look, okay? You can say both of those. They're interchangeable. Evil eye or stink eye, okay? So he's given me the stink eye. Me está mirando mal de ojo. And Dan says, yeah. And the troop leader says, yeah, you thief. Thief es ladrón. I loved her. I loved her so much. La quise tanto. And Dan says, what are you saying? ¿Qué dices? We don't say, what do you say? ¿Qué dices? Aunque es en español en presente, en inglés es presente continuo. What are you saying? Right? And the troop leader says, my beef is not with you, old women. Mi beef, mi bronca, right? No es contigo, señoras mayores. And then Dan says, thank you. All right, the movie is called Old Dogs, and it came out in 2009. It stars Robin Williams, John Travolta, Seth Green, and many others. It came out again in 2009, and it's called Old Dogs. Excellent job. Time for You're Joking.
Thank you. Okay, what did the guy say when he walked into the bar? Ouch. Ouch. You get it? Ouch. He walked into the bar. You're joking.
That's right, amigos. You're joking, and I decided, why don't we take a look at some boxing jokes, since we were talking about the ring, el cuadrilátero. But there's one thing I'll ask you guys. I'll ask you not to throw in the towel. Tirar la toalla. We say to throw in the towel. Acuérdese in, porque no es throw the towel. It's to throw in the towel. Parecido, pero hay ese matiz. Piensa, they're throwing it in the ring. Okay? All right, so what's a boxer's favorite part of a joke? Come on, this is an easy one. I think you guys should be able to figure it out. A boxer's favorite part of the joke is the punchline. La parte graciosa, la parte, ¡pum! ¿No? Que te da. The punchline. All right, well, what's a boxer's favorite drink? Punch. You get it? A boxer's favorite drink is punch. Punch es puñetazo o dar un puñetazo, pero también es ponche. And how would you describe the boxer's wife? How would you describe the boxer's wife? A knockout. Well, a knockout is KO, no? A knockout. It's what you have to get in boxing. But also, Marilyn Monroe was a knockout. Un bombón, you say. Una tía buena. A knockout. You can say it about a guy, too. A very attractive person. All right, folks, you're lucky I only have 3 jokes up my sleeve, and you're lucky that we're running out of time, and it's time for today's famous birthday trivia.
Famous birthdays for you. Famous birthdays for me. Famous birthdays for everyone on the show with no name. Famous birthdays for him. Famous birthdays for her. Famous birthdays for everyone on the show with no name.
All right, folks, let's take a look at our famous birthdays. Number 1, this person was born in 1962. She died in 2020. So if you do the math, she was quite young when she died. All right, what could we say about her? Well, she used to be married to John Travolta. So if you know his ex-wife, but that's not her claim to fame. She was an actress in her own right. And she was in the movie Mischief. She was in Twins, Los Gemelos, with Danny DeVito and what's his name? Arnold Schwarzenegger. She was also in Jerry Maguire. She was in Space Camp. She was in Old Dogs. Wait, today's Name That Movie? That's right. That is right. She was in Old Dogs. Now, I didn't say her name, but if you know her, you know her. And unfortunately, she died due to a battle with breast cancer. All right, number 2, this guy is not Garfunkel. He's the other one. Bueno, yeah, it's not Garfunkel. It's the other one. Here's to you, Mrs. Robinson, and The Sound of Silence. I mean, come on, one of the most talented singer-songwriters that the United States has ever produced. And last but not least, this English comedian, actor, and screenwriter was Borat. He was Ali G. He was the dictator. And I've got to say, this guy cracks me up. I remember when I went to Cambridge to visit a friend, and he goes, oh, this was this guy's dorm, su residencia. I was like, oh, wow. And I know Einstein went there, but I was more impressed with this guy because I think he is comedy genius. He is mocking certain characters in society, burlándose de algunos personajes que nos encontramos. All right, number 1 is Kelly Preston. Number 2, Paul Simon. And number 3, Sacha Baron Cohen. And that's going to bring us right on over to our Say What soundbite. This is Sacha Baron Cohen doing his famous character, Ali G. And he's basically a guy from the suburbs of London, Staines to be exact. And, well, he's not really known for speaking good English. So if you watch this show, the Ali G show, just make sure you don't imitate him. Okay, so he said, in school, me French teacher, sería my French teacher, mi French teacher, Miss Bird es una forma de decir tía, pava, piva, right? Miss Bird used to totally fancy me. Yo le molaba a ella. You know, always looking at me. You know, speaking French to me, bonjour, bonjour. And you could see she was interested, you know? But it was never allowed to happen because, well, she was grown up and I was 13. I want you to notice that he says 13 with an F. He says 13. Here he is, Sacha Baron Cohen as Ali G.
In school, my French teacher, Miss Bird, used to totally fancy me. You know, always looking at me, you know, speaking French to me, bonjour, bonjour. And you could see she was interested, you know. But it was never allowed to happen because she was grown up, I was 13.
All right, folks. That applause is for you. Wonderful job today and every day. And we're going to say goodbye with Simon and Garfunkel's classic, and they have many. This one is called The Boxer. Oh, so there was a reason we were talking about boxing before. Yeah, this is a hit that came out in 1969. And if you'd like to sing along with me, check it out. It's The Boxer. And if you look up Paul Simon and Garfunkel, or as they're called, Simon and Garfunkel, you'll find the lyrics. I'm sure you're familiar with the song as well. Thank you so much, everybody, and have an awesome day. We'll be back tomorrow with more. I promise. Ciao for now.
I am just a poor boy, though my story is seldom told. I squandered my